I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm well. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for agreeing to participate in this interview with me. The name of this series is Real Talk Single Motherhood. It's not about the money. And last month, we released a series of interviews with guys, and it was about parental alienation. And in that series, we concentrated on what the guys go through when they're fighting to try to get a relationship with their children and the mom is blocking it. This time we get to hear the other side of the story from the mothers. And the blessing of being a family law attorney is I get to hear both sides of the story. And the dads are saying this, the moms are saying this. And because I've been divorced and I've been in your shoes, a single mother, raising my sons by myself for a part of their lives, I can relate to you. And I can relate to what the women are saying, but I need to be able to relate to what the men are saying because that's who we're dealing with. So right. I appreciate you agreeing to interview. And so we'll start out with just an introduction. If you can start with an introduction, you give your name and you can tell me about your boys.
My name is Twan Jackson, and I have 4 boys, 4 young men. Ages, the oldest is 24. My younger ones are age 14, 15, 16. I have very large guys. My 16-year-old is 6'8", 400 pounds, and they were a 17 size, which is starting to get too
17. You said 17,
and it's starting to get too tight. And then I have a 15-year-old that's 6'1". He's around 240. He's my smallest one. And then the 14-year-old, he's a 360, and he's about at 5'11". And then my oldest one, which is actually from, the younger ones are from the same father, the oldest from a different. And he's my little 5'9", right at 3. So
the height and the weight, they're getting it from your side of the family or the father's side of the family?
It's both sides. My parents, his parents. I've seen it on both sides.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So please tell me that your sons are involved in athletics, some type of sports.
Yes, there are. The 2 younger ones are involved in baseball, and then football is getting ready to start back. The 15-year-old plays at Rickards. He's a freshman that actually made varsity starting off third base. So he's enjoying that. Also have my youngest son, the 14-year-old, he's actually playing Parks and Rec. So sometimes their games are at the same time on the same day. On pretty much every day a week, I'm at a baseball game. When I do get a break, it's household things. The 16-year-old, the big 6'8", doesn't like sports.
6'8".
Yes.
Oh, wait. 6'8" and does not like sports.
He doesn't like sports, and everywhere I go, people beg, hey, don't you play football? Don't you play? He was like, no, I don't like it. He said he's going to try maybe next year. He did say I may try, but he doesn't like sports because he is my child that has a severe ADHD and possibly autistic. So that's kind of that issue. Yeah.
So let's talk about, so their fathers. They're 2 sets of fathers, right? There are 2 fathers, right? For the 4 boys.
That's correct.
Does the father have a court-ordered visitation schedule in place, or tell me about that?
There is a court order in place, but he really doesn't enforce it.
Okay.
He doesn't.
Okay, so let's talk about that because that's what this is about. It's about being a single mother, and I can relate. Like I say, I have 2 sons, 16 and 23, and I'm not gonna call them baby daddies. I have 2 ex-husbands.
Yes,
and so I have been, and I am where you are with raising boys. Right. So let's talk about the father's relationship. So you say that they have a court order. There's a visitation schedule in place, but they do not exercise the visitation consistently.
No,
correct?
Not at all.
So is it the standard alternating weekend, half the holiday schedule?
Well, not really. Well, the court order is, but it's kind of like I'm the type of parent where if you decide you want to come and grab them for the weekend, hey, just let me know to make sure they don't have anything playing like sports event or anything going on. I don't even get that. I don't get I want to come pick the boys up. I want to come do this. I don't get that. It may be in a year, maybe stop in maybe 3 or 4 times for about 5 minutes, maybe. Or if one of them give a call because one is acting out because they know that they listen to him when he's around, he may drop by for a second or two, but that's the most interaction they get with him.
Okay. And so help me understand, help everybody else understand. Walk me through, like right now it's sports season for your sons, right? For the ones who play, right?
Yes.
And so I know you. And so I've had the pleasure of spending time with you and just being in awe of how you do it. So help people understand how your day goes when your children are involved in sports, your sons.
Well, basically when it start in the morning, when we get up, I get the boys, I have to get them ready. The kid that actually is the 6'8", he's actually sick. He had a bad virus. So I have to make sure I cook a full course breakfast in the morning, grits, eggs, bacon, the whole works, because he has to eat because he's a diabetic now. So I have to make sure everybody eat. I grab my son. I go by and grab my nephew because me and my sister has a agreement where I pick up her son, take them to high school. She picks up my baby boy to take him to middle school. Well, I drop them off. I go straight to work, praying nothing happens. I have to leave work. But I go to work. As soon as I get off work, it's possible I may have to stop by the school to drop something off for baseball. I'll come home. I may be able to change clothes, maybe. Walk straight back. Get ready to walk back out the door to either game or either practice. I'm going somewhere. And once that's over, it's like back home. Possibly, and I'm being honest with you, depending on my money, I may be able to stop and get something to eat. If not, I'm going to have to come home and cook. And sometimes the boys go to bed late at night. During that time, they're trying to do homework that they haven't done right after school or during their little breaks. That's pretty much how it goes. And it's like that almost every day, even on the weekends. We have
this weekend now, and I know I think I'm going to make you late, but you have practices and games to go to today, right?
Practice, yeah, they have practices. They also are on a travel baseball team, the 2 boys. So, yeah, they have practice for that today. And tomorrow I may have a little break, but I'm making up for what I didn't do during the week. So I'm never sitting.
You mentioned your sister, so
yeah,
you have to. So you can't rely on the fathers to help you out, obviously. So which family members are ride or die for you?
It's my sisters and my parents. My parents actually came down about 2 weeks ago. Actually, when one of my boys went into hospital, thankfully they came down to take care of the baby boys so they can get back and forth to schooling. And also they came down a couple of weeks ago because both of them had a game at the same time. And I'm one of those parents, I know I can't be with both of them at the same time, but I want to be there. So they actually came for a doctor's appointment and stayed later just to make sure they take one of the boys to the game and I take the other one to the game.
Oh, well. So how have you, now I learned from the guys that I've interviewed, they are fighting to get the time.
Right.
And the mothers are resisting for whatever reason. Have nothing, most of the time it has nothing to do with kids.
Right.
In your situation, you're wanting the fathers to be involved with your sons. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
And can you talk about some of the things that you do to try to get the fathers to understand that you want them to be involved?
Well, one conversation we had, one of my other sons was in the hospital back about 3 years ago. He was informed that he was in the hospital, but he never showed up, never called. Okay. But his mom came, she did. Well, another one just went to the hospital back in February. And I told him that let me call your dad and let him know that you're in the hospital. He told me, no, this is the one that has the ADHD. He said, don't tell him, because when my brother was in the hospital, he didn't come still. So why waste my time? That's what my 16-year-old said. I said, well, let's do right. Okay, let's do the right thing. And then we don't have to worry about anything. I said, always remember that. Well, I did call, let him know what was going on. He said, okay. He never came up, I don't know the reason why, but he didn't. When he got to the hospital, I still called to let him know that he was at the hospital. He called me about 2 weeks later. Oh, I'm just checking on him. And that's it. I never had another
no visit, no nothing.
no visit at all. He actually, I actually called him because he was having some issues about school. And I called him and I told him I wasn't being rude when I was saying this to him because, you have to respect men as men because they take that personal.
Right.
But I told him it would be lovely if he could at least call, if he don't come by 2 or 3 times a week to that child, because he, some kids are scared of certain parents where they do what they say quicker than mom. We too
Oh,
easy.
yeah. That firm hand of the father, or that firm voice of a father can get the sons to do stuff that we can't do sometimes.
Exactly. So I just ask, can you do that 2 or 3 times a week to make sure he's on track? Because if he knows you're going to call, he's going to do right. If you know you're not going to call, doesn't matter. Well, I'm into the point where it doesn't matter because he has not called. He called one time, but I was like, I didn't know what to say because like, hey, I'm just checking how they're doing. I really didn't know what to say because it was like a month later where I had to deal with all the situation and be off of work trying to handle things. So that's kind of what I'm doing. If you just can be in their lives, young men, and talk to them to help them along, great. But I'm thankful I do have a father that's still living and he does.
And
and
he's involved.
Yes.
So he gets to mentor the boys and teach the boys how to be men.
Exactly.
Right? And you're blessed. You're blessed because not everybody has their parents are still living. I'm thankful that my parents are still living, and my stepfather and my mom, they are helpful to me as well with the boys and the granddaughter. If I have to be out of town for court or something like that, my mom and my family will help me, like yours is helping you. Exactly. But how do the boys react to the fact that their fathers are not involved?
It's almost to the point where, and I'm not sure because I don't know their heart, but it's almost what I see. It's like, hey, it is what it is. I think they really hadn't got used to that situation. And I think it's a difference when kids get used to somebody as they're younger and then they drift away and it does something to them. But they really hadn't been close enough to him, I feel, to actually feel anything, feel it. We got into a really deep conversation one day and it kind of shocked me because another man, by his father, how they really felt. I kind of heard something that made me really, if something happened to him, how would you feel? Type of.
So, oh my.
Yeah.
So how does it make you feel? I can talk about my feelings because I'm in your boat. But how does it make you feel knowing that you've chosen this man to father your children, and now your children are at the point they could care less? It is what it is. I mean, how does that make you feel? It makes me feel bad because I grew up with both my parents. Matter of fact, they'd be married 50 years this year. I grew up with both my parents and we're in contact 2-3 times a day on the phone. It kind of bothered me. How can you actually say you love someone, but you don't in contact them every blue moon? How can you do that? My kids went to send my parents to spring break. I think I called them 3 or 4 times. Mama, will you please stop calling? I'm sorry. I know y'all are perfect. I got to hear y'all voices, but it kind of bothers me. But I think it's almost to the point they weren't never used to that situation. So they're kind of like, mama. I'm the mama and dad. I hate to say it. I'm both, Yeah. I put it together. I know all about the bats and all this different stuff. It's just stuff I learned. And then of course the older brother really, really does a lot. He helps out a lot. So the older son is having to step in to help you with the younger ones. Yes, he is. And he's doing a great job. They do listen. And they do listen to him real well. Well, that's good. Yeah. So I know with me, I'm people who know me know that I often say, well, you chose that person to father your children, so you kind of responsible for it. And I tell the same thing to the men. I'm like, you chose her to be the mother of your children. So now you got to deal with it, and your children have to deal with it, and you can't just act like that person doesn't exist. And with me, when I get frustrated sometimes because not that my son's fathers don't love their sons. They do love their sons. Right. But I know that I believe that there's so much more that they could be doing for them in terms of time, not just to relieve the responsibility from me, but so their sons would know that dad is there, dad loves you. And that comes with time. Exactly. Not money. Right. Not money, time. Money, yes. No. And so let's talk about the money part. With your sons, do you get child support? I do. Well, actually, the oldest one, that's arrears of mega bucks. Never really got any. My young ones, I do get child support.
I was getting when they were younger. I didn't put them on child support right away. I gave him about, I'm gonna say about 3 or 4 years in to let him try to do what's right, but he wouldn't. So I went and put him on child support. And honestly, I was just only get $213 for 3 boys. And of
And
course,
how old were the boys? Give us a point of reference. How old were the boys when you were getting like $200?
they were like 5, 6, 7, about 5, 6, 7, somewhere up in there. I believe it was, or 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there. The 213, of course, we all know that that was not enough. I was struggling, but we was making it. Every once in a while, I may ask, hey, you got $40, $45 to buy some meat or, important things. And, at one time he helped. He really did. Got some meat. The next time it's more like, well, you get child support. I said, okay. When I heard that the last time, that's when I went to enforce more money. And when I enforced more money, it was about, what ages were they? I'm thinking maybe 9, 10, 11, or 11, 12, 13, somewhere, 9, 10, somewhere in that little area. I could be a little bit off. That's when I asked to enforce more money.
So 5 or 6 years later.
Basically, roughly. Yeah. Yeah. And, and I didn't want to do it, but I needed more money. 213 was not going to feed those guys. That may be about 2 or 3 days of groceries,
Right.
So pretty rough. And then you're running and taking care of the doctor bills and all that different stuff. So it was a lot. Gas.
So in that low time, that 4 or 5 or 6 years when you were not going back to court, were you asking Dad to, you mentioned ask him for every now and then, can you chip in a little bit more money?
Right.
And sometimes he did it, right?
Right.
But not all the time.
Right, not all the time. It did it first and then it weaned off a little bit. I'm not sure why, if he was provoked by somebody else not to, but it weaned off. So,
at that time, because of course you had a wonderful lawyer and a friend. So during that 5 years, you knew that legally, based on guidelines, you were entitled to more.
Exactly.
But why did you wait so long?
Well, I felt like this. It wasn't all about the money. Because, you can pay me, I feel like $2,000 a month for these 3 kids. You could pay me that amount. But what I do is $3,000 and $4,000. It would never amount out what I'm doing. And honestly, I get $700 a month for 3 kids. Okay. We still know that's not enough. Because the gas that I spend in an SUV runs at least about $600 a month, not counting the grocery bill that runs about $1,700 a month. We're not talking about,
because you got big guys. You can't fit your sons in a little regular old car. You got to have an SUV.
I have to. And really, the third seat doesn't even work anymore. It's like a 4-seater SUV. Third seat has, because nobody can sit right there, And I've had this SUV for 11 years. So, but it's believe me, it would save me so much money just to have them for a day. That's how much groceries. That's a lot of groceries. And look at a month. Just say if you got them once a week, 4 times. That's the $700 right there profit that you're. So it's
and I may have talked over you. What is the child support you're receiving now?
$700 a month for 3.
So it went from 213 to 700.
Yes.
And the boys went from little boys to big men.
big men, like NFL, yes. MLB players, yes. That's what they look like.
Yes. So now, so Dad is paying more money, and I'm glad that he's paying, and I know it's coming out of the check, so it's coming in.
Yes, and I'm great. Yes.
And now that he's paying more money, and so that means he's investing more financially into the boys. Has he stepped up on his contact with the boys?
No.
Do you get the impression that and I'm not putting words in your mouth. If this is not their case, then it's not their case. I know it is the case of some, but is there any indication that he's upset because he's paying you more money and he's taking it out by not helping you with the boys?
I kind of feel that way. I do. Like, oh, you had to go get more money, but what do you expect? A lot of women would have automatically went back right away if they were getting $213 for 3 kids. But I didn't know your financial situation. I knew mine was bad because I was taking care of these kids basically by myself. I feel like that was a lot of the problem. Oh, you want more money? Why more money? And actually knowing that was not enough money. I actually took that amount. It could have been more, but because he was so aggravated and so irate about it until I just wanted to keep peace. That's it.
Right.
God
And
would
let me
take
put a point of reference to that, because I know.
right.
So you could have been receiving $1,000 or more.
Right. Correct. Correct.
And in order to, again, make sure that dad is not so angry that he refuses contact, you agreed to settle for just 700, correct?
That's correct.
Against your wisest attorney's advice, you agreed to just reduce it down to 700, right?
Exactly. And a lot of people don't realize that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you would hope that, because it was because of his reaction to seeing that high amount and pleading with you.
Right.
To my battery is going low. I hope it doesn't go out. Okay. But it was his pleading with you to please not make me pay. I'm not going to be able to work, and so on and so forth. Exactly. So you, again, did him a favor by reducing his child support, correct?
I sure did. Yeah.
But you did it hoping that he would see that you're still showing favor to him and show you favor by helping you with all this transportation and all these expenses. And that didn't happen.
Yes, no, it didn't. And the conversation, when the conversation comes, it's always the same thing. If we were married, we wouldn't worry about this. Right. So I feel like that's some of the problem too. But yeah, that's life. So how do you do it? I know a lot of mothers are doing it. I've done it. So how do you keep moving on? Keep it moving. I stay in prayer. I say, God, you gave me a baby. You gave two people these babies, but one is only working hard with them. And I just asked him to keep protecting me. I hadn't went to the doctor in like 5 years. I was so scared to go to the doctor and do blood work because I was running with these kids so much. And in the sick one, I was running her so much. It's like, it was all on them. But thankfully I went back. Hey, I'm good. Thank God. Yeah. And God is taking care of you. I told him, please protect my body, protect me, because the only way I'm running the streets is with my children, because I'm not a party mom. I'm not one to be out. I'm a family mom, Mm-hmm. I just asked him to please protect me, because he know what I'm doing. So that's how I make it. And I just stay positive. Hey, it's going to work out, because I have that faith. So, and family, don't get me wrong, family helps, even my oldest son helps. It helps. So. Well, you have been a blessing, and an even greater blessing, because we were supposed to start this interview a little bit earlier so you could make that practice one of the many practices. Yes. And I was running a little late. And so you have accommodated me to the point that I've now made you probably about 10 minutes late to get in the kids to practice, which lets me know that you're going to be hustling as soon as you hang up this Zoom screen. They better be ready. Well, Twan, I thank you so, so very much. I thank you, first of all, for trusting me to, first of all, be a part of your son's life, be a part of your life, and let me be a part of the legal process with you, but also trusting me enough to be a part of these interviews. I told you, and everybody who knows me, I do these as therapy. This is my way of paying it forward, giving back for the blessings that God has given me. Right. But I also know that it's a blessing to me to be able to not only hear people's stories, but to be able to share people's stories. So hopefully, guys, just like women listen attentively to the guys seminar, right? And hopefully the guys will listen to your interview and that they will see what the other side of the coin looks like. Exactly. So, right. So thank you so much, and tell the big boys I said hello, and then you go run the practice. All right. You have a good one. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.